Hey guys, Zangetsu 134 here, and it's not a Garo vlog. I know I haven't done Garo vlog in a couple of days. And judging by the title, you'll already know. Yeah, I apologize. Work's been really hectic. I've got a 3-day weekend here coming soon. Well, it's not really a weekend, but I've got 3 days coming up. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and do the last couple of episodes for the series through that, and then work my way into doing the films. I also had to get a new computer, so I'm still getting used to using it. And I haven't really been feeling like going on vacation. I've had a rough couple of weeks at work. It's been kind of stressful, and I just haven't really had the motivation to do so. So yeah, as you can tell by the title, I'm not reviewing a new episode of Garo, Chapter of the Black Wolf. I'm reviewing the new Ducktales cartoon. Yeah. I wanted to see this actually when it premiered. I actually didn't get to see it because I didn't realize it premiered yesterday or Friday. And it probably wouldn't have worked anyways because I had work early in the morning. But anyway, I managed to see it on demand. I used my cable provider to watch it as sort of a rerun. So yeah, I've actually been really excited for the new DuckTales reboot. I really loved DuckTales as a kid. Granted, I was really young when it came out, and I really only remember it from, like, the box sets I have, and when I used to watch old VHSs of it that I had at my grandmother's. But yeah, it was something special for me. Probably one of my favorite superheroes, like, before I got into comics, was Gizmo Duck and Darkwing. And granted, I'm probably more a fan of Darkwing than I am of DuckTales. I like both, but Darkwing Duck is more special to me. But DuckTales is really fun, you know. The original was really fun, lighthearted, had a lot of good adventures and stuff. And it was just about Scrooge and the nephews, you know, getting into trouble and having all sorts of fun adventures and, you know, the typical stuff. It was kind of weird because they only had Donald in a few episodes because I'm guessing, much like with Mickey, Disney has this kind of embargo where you can only use Donald, Goofy, and Mickey sparingly because they really, really don't want Mickey to be in stuff that is going to fail. They really want to put him in things that they know will do all right. It seems kind of more lenient nowadays than it was in the 90s. But, you know, Darkwing or Donald and Goofy seem to kind of waver with that. I know, you know, Goofy especially had the Goof Troop, which I watched a lot of. I watched a lot of Disney Afternoon. There was also, you know, and the fact that Donald got to be used a little bit, you know, I think more because they just wanted to focus more on Scrooge than they did any of the other Disney characters. I will admit I've never read any of the comics that Scrooge McDuck was in. I keep meaning to try and find trades of that, but I never do. And this one it's clearly more based on the comics since Scrooge actually wears his traditional red outfit with the black spats and top hat. But yeah, and like I said, I was a really big fan of DuckTales when I was growing up as a kid, particularly Gizmo Duck. I used to love Gizmo Duck. It's actually kind of funny. I had just finished watching the old Gizmo Duck 5-parter that opened up season 2, and before I'd watched this because I'd been looking for it. And I that's like one of my I think probably one of my favorite episodes that I watched and remember watching a lot growing up as a kid because I had them on VHS. But yeah, and so when I heard that they were going to make a new series in 2017, I was actually really ecstatic. I was really nervous because I'm not a big fan of reboots. I get really tired of seeing everything I grew up with as a kid get rebooted, but you know. I did get really excited when they revealed that they would have David Tennant as Scrooge. Yeah, I know. I like the 10th Doctor. I'm more partial to 9 or 11, but I like David Tennant well enough, and he's a good actor, and he's actually Scottish, unlike Alan Young. You know, God rest his soul. I like Alan Young, but it's kind of nice to have an actual Scottishman played Scrooge. And I also really liked the promos and stuff showing that, like, some of the characters would be a lot different than they were from the original. Like, for one, Webby is a lot less annoying and just I'm the token girl. She's very much like Mabel from Gravity Falls, and apparently a lot of the writers from Gravity Falls are doing this show. I was never into Gravity Falls, and it's nothing against the show. I've heard good things about Gravity Falls. I mean to watch it one of these days. When it came on, I was kind of in this phase where I was just kind of done with Disney stuff. Really, the only reason I probably got back into this was because it's Ducktales. And so, I sat down to watch the premiere, which is apparently the first 2 episodes, kind of. It was only 45 minutes long, so I'm not entirely sure if that means it was like 2 full episodes. But I think it was. And I gotta admit, it was really funny. Like, I laughed a lot during this. Like, really, really laughed a lot. Like, normally, like, the original DuckTales, when I watched it, I chuckle, but I more like it for the adventures and just the fact that Scrooge is, just a joke about how rich he is. And he's pretty true here. But, yeah, no, this was really, really funny. The comedy was really tight. There was a lot of humor. Particularly, like, when Webby introduces herself to the nephews and talks about, like, all of these adventures from, like, the comics and the TV show. But yeah, it was really fun. I do notice that they're setting up, like, an actual, like, story arc to go through it. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna try and not spoil as much as possible. But there does look to be, like, there's a story arc that's gonna go through it, which I'm down for. I like a good story arc. And it's very different from the original TV show. For one, Donald is not getting drafted into the Navy. I never understood why they made Donald join the Navy in the original. I guess, again, because they didn't want to use Donald a lot, despite the fact that they're using Scrooge. But yeah, no, it was very different because, like, they clearly want to imply that Donald and Scrooge did go on adventures, and that something kind of broke them up. We clearly established that there was some stuff going on with Scrooge. Like, he seems to, like, from the promos and stuff, and from the first episode, he hasn't gone on an adventure in a while, and something seems to have, like, made it so that he doesn't feel like going on adventures anymore. Which I think they're going to address throughout the series. We'll get there. But, and his spark of adventure was reignited with Huey, Dewey, and Louie. And, so they go on adventures. And you can kind of see that this is going to be a much larger cast. Like, they're not going to just have Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Scrooge and Launchpad. Like, I think they're going to really try to have, like, the cast do more, especially since they made Webby much more of an action character. There's no Duckworth yet. We haven't seen Duckworth, and I think basically they're going to have Mrs. Beakley be both Duckworth and the nanny. Who, by the way, is also really good. I love that she's very much a deadpan snarker. Like, she constantly just snarks at Scrooge. Like, he keeps telling her to, like, take notes and stuff, and she's like, I'm not your secretary, I'm just the maid. I don't take your stuff. We also see, like, his relationship with Launchpad's very different. Launchpad is now his driver, as well as his pilot. I mean, granted, that was basically Launchpad in the original. But, like, he kind of doesn't really talk to Launchpad very much. Or at least in the first episode, it kind of seemed like him and Launchpad kind of don't have the relationship they had in the TV show. Which kind of disappears into the second episode. I also really like this Launchpad. I like Launchpad in both. Like, and I really don't think I have a preference to Launchpad in either of these. Because both Launchpads are very different. Like, the Launchpad in the 89, the original cartoon was very silly and fumbling, but, like, you could tell he had a good heart. This Launchpad's kind of like a bro, not like a bad way. Like, he he very much seems to be just kind of denser, but like you can tell he means well, but like it's very different. It's hard for me to explain it other than he kind of feels like a bro. I'm also again excited the fact that Donald appears to be actually going to be more of an active role in this show than just dumping the nephews off with Scrooge and then going away. And I also really like the fact that everyone has their own design. This is especially true in the second episode where we get an actual villain with Flintheart Glumgold. Because Flintheart Glumgold in the original was basically just Scrooge with a beard and a kilt. This Glumgold's actually kind of portly and actually round. Like he's very distinctly different from Scrooge, and I like that. And yeah, no, and like I said, the comedy's really tight. There's a lot more of Scrooge developing a relationship with the nephews, unlike in the first series, where basically like the first episode of the pilot, they kind of disagree with each other, but by the end of the pilot, he clearly has taken a shine to them. In this, he has taken a shine, but he wants to teach them to actually be adventurers. With the phrase, like it's okay to get in trouble, but you have to learn to get out of trouble. In that, Scrooge, gets into all sorts of adventures and crazy shenanigans, and you have to be smarter than the smarty and tougher than the toughies. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed this. There was a lot of really funny humor. I can't wait until September when they start actually airing the series. But otherwise, this was a really good first couple episodes. I think the second one's a little bit more interesting because they go on an actual adventure, whereas the first one is basically just to introduce everyone and to give you a little bit of what the show's like. But otherwise, I think this is a really great start to a new Ducktales. It's not the same Ducktales, but it's a new Ducktales, and I think it's really good. I think if the rest of the series is like these first two parters, I will enjoy it a lot. I will say one thing. There's a scene where Scrooge is in a meeting with like some business partners of his who are vultures, which was brilliant writing there. Where clearly these are vultures trying to get at the scraps of Scrooge's millions or trillions now. And they reference a business in Canard. They reference Saint Canard. I really, really hope that this means that they're going to spin off into a Darkwing Duck cartoon. I've heard a lot of rumors, particularly that like at the last D23 convention, or like San Diego Comic-Con, I forget where, they kind of hinted that they were going to do Darkwing again. We've already gotten like character profiles for Gizmo Duck and Fenton Crackshell, so it's possible. I really, really I love DuckTales and I want DuckTales to succeed, but I also kind of want Darkwing Duck back too. Darkwing Duck was a favorite of mine, and I love this DuckTales. If they can make Darkwing as good as DuckTales, then I think we're in for a good treat. If they make Darkwing, I'm happy with the fact that we got DuckTales. So let's ride that and see where we go. So yeah, that's my review. Like I said, it's really good. If you get a chance, try to either catch a rerun. I'm not sure when it'll be reran, but if you have like a cable provider with like a digital box, try to catch it before it goes off the air, goes off their on-demand service. And yeah, no, that was really good, and I hopefully the next week I'll be able to get to those 3 episodes of Garo that we have left. So with that said, I will catch you guys later. Take care.